I filmed this video many times. Even if you think you know how many times I recorded this, I guarantee you just don't. Real quick, just wanted to pop in and say that, and also wanted to say the purpose of this video is for me to just kind of talk. In January 2021, I sat down with my roommate to play a quick 10-hour game of Until Dawn. I was showing her the game for the first time after I had played it a number of years ago and remember really enjoying it. We had so much fun playing this game that we decided to get zooted and play another one that I suggested. A game that I had not played since 2012 and I remember really loving. A game that I showed to countless friends because it was so innovative. Also, I do have hiccups, and I'm not going to stop recording. A game that doesn't hold up. So I thought I would get back into the same state of mind that I was in when I played it in January 2021 and talk about it on camera for a little bit. So, let's talk about Heavy Rain. Couple of things about the game. Released February 23rd, 2010. Third game by Quantic Dream. So, most basic plot from IMDb. Get a little picture up. As a child goes missing, his father tirelessly works to rescue him, while a journalist, an FBI agent, and a private detective try to identify his kidnapper, known only as
the Origami Killer.
I would say Ethan Mars is the protagonist of this game, even though it is ensemble-based. Ethan starts off with your typical happy family. A big house from his career as an architect, a loving wife named Grace, and two sons, Jason and Sean. On Jason's birthday, the family decides to go on a fun trip to the mall, and nothing bad ever happens. Unless you... okay. Ethan goes to the mall, loses...
Jason!
Follows him to the middle of the street. A car hits them, slow motion. Ian gets put into a 6-month coma. Jason passes away. Rest in peace, Polygon Prince. We then skip 2 years later, and Ethan is divorced, depressed, and dealing with severe crowd-induced anxiety. His relationship with his remaining son, Sean, has been faltering, and it doesn't really help that he gets kidnapped when Ethan experiences a trauma blackout for 6 hours while at the park. Ethan, don't do that. Ethan, why did you do that? Ethan. When he wakes up, he's on a seemingly random street, and Ethan is holding an origami figure in his hand. Yeah, his son got kidnapped in that time. Sucks. That sucks, man. You really didn't have a kid to spare. Finding a box that has been mailed to his home, Ethan finds out that the kidnapper, known as the Origami Killer, a serial killer who kidnaps boys, has prepared 5 tasks for Ethan to complete in order to save his son. This guy wants Ethan to do some Saw-level shit. It is up to Ethan, and you, to decide on what to do from here on out. Madison Page's description is a journalist plagued with insomnia and nightmares. She helps out Ethan by patching him up throughout the game and possibly entering a romantic relationship with him. She grew up with brothers. This is all we get from her. She gets kidnapped by a red herring other serial killer man, but truly, that's it. We meet Madison Page in a nightmare. She's helpless. She showers. You get her vulnerable and naked. An unnecessary sequence of events to show that she is helpless, sexual, and a woman. She then immediately dies. There are intruders in her house. They follow her around no matter how hard you try to escape, no matter how many buttons you press to fight them off. You die, Madison Page. That is the first time we meet her. Norman Jayden has been brought onto the local police force to investigate the kidnappings and murders of the Origami Killer. I should not do that accent. Using his added reality interface, also known as ARI, Norman is able to collect evidence that may not be visible to the naked eye. There's discourse about whether or not Norman Jayden is supposed to be gay. Trypticane. Let's talk about trypticane for a minute. All you need to know about Norman Jayden is trypticane. What is trypticane, Ned? Why are you just bringing this up right now, huh? It's just a drug. All we know is that you get sweaty, your eyes get bloodshot, and it's really addictive, and it's blue. That's it. So needless to say, it's pretty bad. Scott Shelby is the most interesting character in this game. I'll say it a million times. He is cool. But I guess not cool. Cut that, can we cut? His first encounter is with a sex worker, Lauren Winter, whose son was a victim of the Origami Killer. We find out that Scott was hired to go around to some of the victims' families to collect evidence of anything that could be connected to the Origami Killer. Throughout the game, Scott Shelby does exactly that. He helps Lauren in the beginning of the game with an angry client. He helps a man when his store is getting robbed, and a woman take care of her baby after trying to commit. Lauren comes into play again in his story to help Scott find out who the killer is. She becomes his partner in crime, so to speak. And throughout the course of the game, you work with her, whether you want to or not. And then there's a big, sweltering moment in the rain, and you can kiss her and say, I love you. And she says, I love you too, because you've been bonding, because you've been trying to find the murderer of her son. And then you find out that Scott, is the Origami Killer. You find out that all the time spent collecting different evidence and helping those families, you were just getting closer to them so you could burn any evidence that connected back to you. Scott's story is that when he was young, he had an alcoholic and abusive father, and he had a brother and a mom. But him and his brother were playing on a construction site one day. His brother fell into a giant pipe. You know, his brother fell into one of those classic giant pipes full of water, just rushing water in the rain. Just classic one of those. God, I lost many a brother to those. Scott runs to his dad, and his dad is so blackout drunk and hates his kid just so much that he just pushes him away and says, no, I'm not going to help you. So his brother dies that day. He then has a deep resentment and hatred for his birth father. This, combined with remembering how his mother would teach John origami, sparked a little idea in him to be the Origami Killer. Pains me to say it, but there are moments of good tension in this game. Two specifically being when Ethan has to cut off one of his own fingers. When Ethan has to cut off one of his own fingers, it's not an easy click one button and cut sort of thing. Because it's a difficult thing for Ethan to do, the game reflects that within its own mechanics by making you press multiple buttons, making it for you, the player, a difficult task to complete. The second great example of this is Scott and Lauren in the antique shop. There's a scene where you go to an antique clock shop with Lauren, and a big part of it is you have to remember everything that you touched since the level started. Since you walked into this shop, you've been touching things. A man is dead. You have to get out before the police come, because the Origami Killer murdered this man and is trying to frame you. When this could not be a more perfect situation to be the Origami Killer, with Lauren being like, we have to cover our tracks, knowing very, very much well, you are just covering the Origami Killer's tracks. Making a woman unknowingly help you, whose son you killed Now, a majority of people will say the acting is bad in this game, and they are not technically wrong.
Dad?
Yeah?
Why do you look so sad?
I think I just need some time to get back to the way things were.
You know, Dad, what happened to Jason wasn't your fault.
Good night, Sean.
The acting isn't great, but to me, it adds to the creepy atmosphere. Sort of like the acting you would see in older Silent Hill games. Newer Silent Hill games? What's the newest Silent Hill game?
There's something I gotta get,
Later, okay?
but it's really important.
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
What?
I wanna go get it. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
The last couple hours of this game are so jam-packed that the first 5 just drag. I couldn't even make it past the first 5 hours. In my replay for this video, I haven't played since June. It is December 15th. Music, the game plays the same songs over and over again. And don't get me wrong, there are games where that could work. Like, I am listening to Yakuza, the Yakuza soundtrack on repeat. But also, most of the cut content in this game you could give or take. Like the extra Scott scenes. We could have used the extra Madison content, but honestly, with the pacing of the mundane in Heavy Rain, I'm glad it wasn't in there. The biggest fault, I would say, was not including the blackouts. But Ned, Ethan's whole thing is he blacked out and his son got kidnapped. That's his whole big personality trait. That and his son is killed. He has 2 blackouts. So in the original game, Ethan and Scott were supposed to have a spiritual connection because likes to do stuff like that. Ethan's blackouts would be full of water and drowning and swimming, and he would see the victims, the most recent victims of the Origami Killer. And these were supposed to correlate to whenever Scott Shelby would take a life. Ethan would then wake up on the street where Scott's brother died, and with an origami figure in his hand. That part was never explained, but all right. This gave Ethan more of a cause, or it would have given him more of a reasoning behind thinking he is the Origami Killer rather than he just thinks he's the Origami Killer. That could have made the stakes even higher, because the game tries to trick you into thinking the stakes are so high, which, don't get me wrong, you do like feel yourself wanting to save Sean, but you're also like, I have nothing to lose. There was also a cut prequel game called Heavy Rain Chronicles. The game would follow Norman as he became addicted to trypticane, as well as how it happened, and Madison as she developed her insomnia. The game was supposed to have multiple characters, but was canceled after one due to Heavy Rain being adapted to the PlayStation Move, which was a huge success. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, when I was a kid, I would only play linear games, and this was one of the first games I played where you got to make your own choices, and there was multiple of one thing. And it kind of sucks that it doesn't hold up. It's also my goal, I'll say it right now, to put out a video once a month, first of every month. I don't know what they're going to be yet, if they're going to be similar videos like this, if you liked this. Hopefully they will be more coherent, but I can't promise that. My official rating, I guess, when I wrote this script that I never edited, was 3 out of 10 Jasons. So thanks. Maybe I'll stream this on, maybe I'll finish the game on Twitch. We'll see. Goodbye. Heavy Rain sucks as a game.